There we go. Should be recording. And we're going to get going. So I will see you in, I don't know, a little while. I'm off. Hope you enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
Get everything comfortable. Today's talk is one of a series of talks. We will progress through the realms of expression of spirit. You have already received, at least to some degree, the foundations of understanding of spirit and the energy of spirit. And now we go on to the expression of it. And this will be a series of talks where we go through various modalities. And the modalities will be, as I have said, the expression is how spirit will flow through you if you choose to allow it. Now, you should understand right at the very beginning that in essence there are important parts of this process. Just because there is a physical person and there is a spiritual person, as in a person in spirit, it does not necessarily follow that the two will connect. Now, the spiritual person I am talking about would be a dedicated guide or helper that will work through the medium. So, you see, each side, physical side and the size of the guide, needs to be both ready, willing, and able. Your side, of course, needs to be ready to undertake the work, able to take the work, and then willing to do so. You may think that if they have turned up, then surely they are willing. Well, this may not be the case, as there are times where spirit impress so strongly to encourage a medium or potential medium to undertake work. And we encourage the willingness. So you cannot take this for granted. It is also the same on the spirit side. We must be ready, willing, and able. And as I go through these, you can also understand to some degree why, when a spirit passes, they may not come back to their loved one. And it may be many years, maybe never. And in part, this is some of the reasons why. The spirit must first be ready, as in understanding where they are and understanding that the circumstances avail themselves. They must be able, as in part of this is a learning for the other side. Well, in essence, both sides. And they must be willing to undertake that connection and that style of work. So if you are waiting to hear from, let us say, your father, in terms of mental mediumship, then that spirit may simply decide that it is not either the right time, has the right ability, or is too interested in other matters. And as a consequence, the child may say, I never hear from my father. He simply may not be able, or it may not be the right time. You may not be able to handle that communication at that time. So it is both ready, willing, and able on two different sides for the work to take place. So the very fact that you sit in mediumship or healing or any other type of expression is a sign that both sides are at least learning, but are willing to undertake the work. Now, so today's topic, as I have said, one of the expressions will be one of healing. So you understand, at least in part, the healing, well, the way it works. Now, last week, if you remember, I did say there would be another communicator, and that communicator will stand or step forward in a moment. There is, in fact, three. Myself, the next communicator, and one other. And this other is here out of interest and also learning the connection process with this medium. If you ask this medium when he returns, he will mention a particular taste in his mouth, which occurred during the blending process, which is the start of a calling sign of this spirit that will work or is beginning to work through him. Now, so let us progress and let us begin the topic of healing. So with this, I will stand back and I will return at the end. And we are bringing this personality forward, not because there is any less quality, but rather this personality has a very different way of expression. So, without further ado, I will withdraw and reattend later. It's been a long time, innit? I ain't been for a bit. It's nice to be here, nice to express my own thoughts, to come in and to say what I think and to waffle on as I normally do for, well, longer than expected. It's kind of nice to just sit here and just get a bit of practice in. I ain't practiced quite as much recently. It's kind of like been one of them things where I've been through just odd bits. Anyway, look, let's get into the point. I'm getting the hurry up. I better hurry up, you know. All right. Okay, so I'll be here to talk to you today about healing and about the way healing works and what it means and all that, you know. There's other topics later, but this one's healing and it's my gig. All right. Healing's a very interesting topic, I think, and it's interesting because it needs to be considered in different aspects. You see, there's some people who do healing, and they get a patient or somebody that I want to send some healing to, and what they do, they go, "Here, oh, he's a bunch of energy, love. Have a good day. See you later," and off they go. You know what I mean? So all they've done is taken their energy and given it to the others, ain't they? All it's got, here, oh, here's my energy. You go and use it, and off they go. And you know, this is kind of has a practicality to it. You know, it has a practicality that people kind of link in with these type of people. These are often your empath type of people who are very connected. You find people just come to you, and they come to you because your energy is open and being and willing to share it. You would know yourself if you're practicing in this regard that people just draw to you. You'd be sitting on a train and all of a sudden the one person needed healing comes and sits right by you. You give off a magnetic field, you see, and that's why this is called magnetic healing. It means it comes from one person with a simple touch, it goes to the next person and it transmits over. It's always done. These people who work in this way always do it with three different aspects. It's got to come from solar plexus, got to come from the heart, and it comes from the associated organs around these areas. So there tends to be the pull and the drain. It tends to be the connectedness. It tends to be a point where energy just seems to flow because it flows in a circular way, or the link does, out through the heart, in through the solar plexus. So here, of course, it's only a very little bit is transmitted back to the medium or to the healer. It meant it's just given away quite easy. But remember, it's the heart, it's also the solar plexus and the associated organs round it. These people know they're healers, and if you want to know the way if you're a healer or not, have a look. So you get some sensations in your stomach as in just knowing what to do, like hunches and just bits of knowings all happen in that area. Do you get butterflies or that type of sensation when you're connected through to other people? You're feeling them now, ain't you? There's a couple of you getting little tingles in your solar plexus. Anyway, the healing then just transmits very nicely, very easily, but it'll only go to the amount of energy that is stored within the physical body or around the physical body. So unless you build your energy up to quite some degree, you'll find that quite quickly you'll become drained with this type of healing. Ease my energy, go away, see you later, and I ain't got none. And so as a consequence, then it all seems to disappear. It will go to the place of need with this, goes to the place of need. And it means that if somebody thinks they have a need because they have a sore neck, that's where the energy will go, where they think they have a need. Now, if you just stay with this, of course, it means that your cycle of your own energy is very up and down during your day. It's kind of up 1 minute and then you give it away the next. And it's important then to change the healing cycle or the way it works. Because if you don't use additional energy, you'll find that you'll be giving a minimalistic result. There we go. Say it again. I like that word. Minimalistic. There we go. Said it. I've only ever said it twice. Anyway, you give it a minimal 3 times now. Minimalistic work. It's best that you actually bring through other energy and additional energy. So here you need to activate first your crown. You'll find naturally with your crown, when you activate it, the energy will come through, additional energy. And as a matter of consequence, your third eye will tingle, your throat will start to open up and all. And here, that's why at some stage it's very difficult for some healers, healer type people, to not see images, because the energy flowing through your head down through to your heart and solar plexus will naturally pass past your third eye and your throat. So then the energy coming through will instigate the third eye and the seeing of conditions. So when you do it this way, you then begin to see different bits. So you'll see the injured shoulder, the knee problem, and you see things starting to change. You may see auras, you may see injuries, you may see into the body, you may see different emotional traumas that's going on. And because then your throat is activated, you'll feel like you want to express it. I want to tell you you've got a sore shoulder, and I want to tell you you've got an emotional issue. So you'll find the energy working through these points as a consequence activates these areas. But it need not. Don't have to. And that can be the challenge for anybody doing healing, that these bits get activated and you want to use all the energy you can to be given to different parts. But because this energy now comes from the spiritual side, it means that one, there's a lot more of it. In fact, there's lots of it, rather a lot of it. In fact, endless amounts, right? Lots of it comes through. And then also what comes through is knowledge at the same time. When you hold this pure link and you hold it undistracted or undiluted through the third eye and throat, you find other knowledge comes through. So this is why, if you can just keep the link pure and the energy flow pure, you'll find other information gets known. And this energy then will go to the appropriate place. So not the place where the client thinks they need healing. It may go to another place. It may sit within the mental realm or the emotional healing realm, if you know what I mean. It may just flow to the bit where she thinks she needs it. Comes with a sore knee, the energy goes to the knee, but it may not. And this is why when you have the pure link, it will go in other ways and the energy is endless and comes through with the knowledge associated with it. Now, some people like to attract or attach different things to it. You know, people doing Reiki and things like to work this with symbols. And in part, this is why you get symbols and why you can use them, because they come with the pure energetic link. It comes from that side. Now, if you want to imagine your healer being tall and dark or short and blonde, it don't matter. It ain't no point. It doesn't really matter what they are, you know. It comes as a point to make you feel comfortable. So let's take this on a step further. So if you imagine now, we're not doing the magnetic healing, we're doing the spiritual type healing, where the energy is just connecting to the other side, as you would say. Well, here then, there is the aspect of allowing this knowledge to activate purely. And when you do it purely, as I have said, you will find, because of your own mental conditions, you would want a certain person. So if I'm doing this well, for example, I'm doing it all lovely and everything's going right and everybody's feeling top of the world. Now I want some credibility within my mind. And so I create the picture of a healer, which I think is the right one. And if there is a healing guide on the other side, our side, then that healer will pick up on this thought process and adapt his image to match what you think your image is, what you required. So if you think, oh, all this healing's going well, I must work with a doctor, and a doctor looks tall and skinny with glasses on the end of his nose, well, that's what the healing guide will start to pick up on and show himself as, unless there's a particular reason why he may not have glasses on the end of his nose. He may have something else. Might be a reason for it. So in part, you create the image of your healing guide. That's interesting, isn't it? You think we create it. In fact, I think you've probably been told that we give you an image according to what we think's right or who we are. Well, that ain't the case necessarily. Of course, there are some situations where that'll be different. So the healing guide then stands all around you. And if you want him to look like an angel or somebody with two heads and a different coloured skin, then you can have that and all. Don't matter. You see, you're putting the bodily description onto the person most of the time. Anyway, so the healing guide then will work with you, provide the knowledge, provide the information, provide the love if it needs to come to a matter of love, and will provide the calm and peace and serenity. That energy will give you guidance on where the injury will be if you sit in it purely. Now, your challenge from your side is to distinguish if the healing's coming from you or coming from somewhere else. If it's coming from you, then your information will be limited according to what you perceive. And if you ain't very good at perceiving, you ain't very good at getting the answer right then. All right. But if you are good at it, then you'll be able to work your way around it. So in essence, if you are doing magnetic healing or the healing where you're giving bodily energy, you kind of ain't doing the full gig. You're doing a good enough gig, but there's more and you can do better, if you know what I mean. I ain't minimizing that. Anybody that gives it a bit of love is kind of worth their weight in gold, right? But if you want a bit more and you want to give somebody a nice little lovely jubbly rubby whatever, then the energy's got to come from another side. So you got to practice it. If you want your healing to be good, then you got to practice healing, because you got to practice letting go. And if the whole point of all of this, not just this, but all the other modalities, you mark my words, this will be said more often than not. Listen to Charlie. Charlie knows what he's talking about. And, well, kind of. Anyway, if you listen to this, it'll be said over again. The point is for you to be a complete, clear, open, loving, joyful, lovely person channeling all this lovely stuff. If you just leave it as being, here's a bit, there we go, or kind of chop and change a bit, then expect the appropriate results. Now, I want to talk about this one step deeper, all right? Deeper, deeper, deeper. So you kind of get it on another level. So I've answered it from the point of, let's say, the body, the magnetic stuff. I've answered it, I hope, from the point of, let's say, from the spirit side, but there is the purity of spirit. And if you remember, right at the very beginning or somewhere there, you were told about the four different bits of healing. Yeah. Well, the body bit is the magnetic bit. In the mix, the next one is both heart and head. All right. But we want to get to the pure bit. So let me explain this. And I've got to put my posh voice on. All right. I'm going to try and use some extra big words. All right. So you're going to have to bear with me a bit. Look. So if you want to go for healing for this side, then you got to understand you got to be able to connect to the pure side. Let me explain. It ain't easy to explain, but I'll have a go. All right. You need to go beyond the mind into your own spirit. And you need to go to the point of consciousness. This is the point of, at least in part, pure spirit. Now, you know you're here because there is absolute stillness. Stillness. I don't mean stillness and I'm seeing black and I feel like I've got wings and I'm astral traveling and I'm whatever's. All right. I mean absolute stillness. This is where, if you know the quote, peace beyond all understanding sits, right? This is the point of awareness. Awareness. Remember that word, consciousness, if you want. All right. Here, this is the bit that watches, that wants the experience. Yeah. This is not the bit that manufactures the experience. And this is not the bit, or that the body is, that lives the experience. I hope you understand what I mean. Let me say it again. The body lives the experience, the mind makes it, and the spirit witnesses it, watches. Yeah. And it says, I want an experience of a broken leg. All right, let's have a broken leg. Okay, so if you want to change any of your medical conditions, or you want to help others with their medical conditions, it has to come from the purity of awareness. Purity of awareness or consciousness. So you must go back to your conscious state and say, look, I don't want this illness any longer. Can we have something else? And if you read accounts, or those people which have had, what do you call it, spontaneous healing, all of a sudden all my stuff's disappeared overnight and doctors can't find it anymore, that type of stuff, it has to happen at that level. There's an awakening that comes with it. It ain't just, oh, I feel all right, let's change it. You will not heal your conditions by healing with the mind or the body when it's at this level. When it's at the big level. Small levels you can, the big levels we got to go up a notch to the big end of town. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I hope you do. Look, we got to get to that point. So here then, you have to come to the purity. You have to totally surrender in to find this area. And I'm being told by someone else here that there's a person listening to this who needs to know this and understand it. She's beginning a work of exploration and was given an exercise to find it. Anyway, I hope you know who you are. Look, anyway, carry on. This is the point for your understanding, love. It is in the purity of your knowing, of your experiences, where, if you want, the miracle can happen. That's where you've got to get to. You've got to get to the pure, the still, or the quiet, the non-chatter, yeah, where the mind's kind of moved away from. And then from there, you see your body, the illness from there. And you can make the decision of change from there. You see, this is why those people get the spontaneous illness correction thing, the medical, what's it called? The healing bit, that's it. That's why they get it. The why that some people get to near death, right, I'm just about to drop off me perch and then come back and, oh, I'm fixed. I feel better. Where's all that gone? Oh, look, doctor, I'm fixed myself. You have to get to right that level, all right? Right to that point of almost crossing the border, right? Anyway, but it has to be to a point of absolute stillness. It's the spirit self, if you wish, that does the correction, does the change, does the healing, does the let's have a different experience from now on. That's where it comes from. And that's where you should go if you want that stuff. But can you do it for another person then? That's the question, isn't it? Can I go if I've got a skill and ability to get to that point of absolute stillness, nothingness, correctness, and everything's okayness, get to that land, can I heal others from it? Interesting, isn't it? How's that work then? That's what you're asking. I'll make $1 million if I could do this. Anyway, well, you do it, right? You can do it, but the other person has to be willing. They have to know. They have to really do it themselves because they have got to want the change themselves. You know, they may say, look, do you know what? I don't need this stuff anymore. You know, I'm over this illness bit. I just can't, I want to get back to kicking a ball and running and jumping and whatever. Sick of this wheelchairy bit. But unless they really want it, and unless they can get to that point, it ain't going to work. But it ain't going to work because at their spirit level, this is the experience that they want. They want to witness being in a wheelchair, being a bit wobbly or a bit crazy or whatever. I've signed up for craziness this time, have you? All right, lovely. Anyway, the you have to get to that point and want it yourself. You know, who are you to say, oh, look, let's heal them, let's get rid of that? Yeah, without them wanting it, what's the point? You know, how do you know that that person who's got a bad leg, it ain't in their best interest? How do you know? You think you know, and they may say, look, I wish it was all right. How do you know it's not in their best interest? Of course, you never know. That's why you have to go back to, let us call it, the decision, you know, not to the application of the decision or the experiencing of the decision. You've got to come right to that point, isn't it? I hope this is making sense. I hope you kind of understand it. You're kind of nodding on the inside, ain't you? I think you are. Anyway, well, I think you're nodding on the inside, whether you aren't or not. Don't matter, does it? Look, so that's the point of it. Got to get back to there. And then it becomes clearer. And then you see, and I know him. And this is why, Kim, people of the Far East can do all their amazing stuff. It ain't because they're trying to do it from the point of body or even necessarily point of mind. They've got connection right through to the decision maker, if you know what I mean. And the decision maker says, well, let's move it. Let's go somewhere else. And they do. They can. Yeah, this is what is meant by you are powerful beyond measure. You've all been dumbed down a bit, ain't you? You're all kind of like, you got a raging river in just a thimble. Well, if you want to do something, you got to go back to the raging river, ain't you? You know what I mean? A thimble of water ain't going to do nothing for you. So you got to use the whole thing. If you've got access to all that kind of energy, all that love, all that knowledge, all that lovely stuff, why don't you use it? Now, there's a good question. Why don't you? And you're all going, well, I don't know why I don't use it either. And you're thinking to yourself, well, if I could do it, why don't I do it? Why don't you do it? The reason why you don't do it is because you believe in the body. You believe you're still a body. You believe that this is where I am. This is me. These 2 arms, 2 legs. Even if the one's shorter than the other, that's who I am. Well, you've got to get past that bit. And that's why you're doing this work, ain't you? That's why you're doing this bit. You're doing it because you want to realise, you want to understand that you're a bit more than the body, and a bit more than the mind, and even a bit more than the soul. You're something far greater. You're like a magician, ain't you? You want to be a magician. Ping, there you go, you're healed, love. All that stuff. Anyway, you can if you want, as long as everybody's ready, willing, and able. All right? Now, so how do you do it? How do you get to that point of the decision maker? Yeah? Well, first of all, you got to find your quiet. And I'm whispering now, so it's quiet. And then, when you get to that point of quiet and stillness, and you think it's empty, and you're looking around going, where am I? What am I doing here? You just got to let go a little bit more and feel. And when you feel, and there's more possibilities. So if you ever go into meditation, or you're just, let's say, sitting around doing nothing, and you manage to drop away, and all of a sudden you close your eyes, you open them, and then you haven't been asleep. You know you haven't been asleep, but an hour's gone, you don't know where. Well, that's the place. That's where you are. Your attachment from the, let's say, from the small has disappeared into the attachment to the large. You see, the small will never satisfy the large. You know what I mean? So if you're a really big elephant, eating a pea ain't going to do anything for you. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Yeah. But if you got a whole field full of peas, it might be a bit different. Anyway, I'm distracting myself, never mind you. So what you do is you go to that point of stillness where you've just disappeared for a bit of time. Detached. There ain't no sensation. If you think, oh, I've disappeared, but I've seen a ship or a goat or I've seen blue or something, you ain't got there yet. You're still having an experience. There's no experience. Aha. There's one for your mind to nut over for another day, innit? Sit in a chair one day having a coffee, think about that. And no experience. If you could do this regular, almost on demand if you want, set your intention before you go. Right, I'm going to fix that bad knee I've got. Right, off I go. And as long as you make the connection and you put the request into the powers that be, then everything can work. So if you ever listen or read about those people that do all the miraculous stuff in your world, I'm here and then I'm there, all that stuff, is it not first associated just before it a little bit of stillness and quiet? Right? Now sit under a tree for 5 minutes. I'll see you on the other side of the world in 5 minutes. I'm just going to go sit under this tree. Here we go. Quiet. Oh, I'm over there now. Anyway, if you know what I mean, you'll know what I mean. You see, everything comes from the silence. Everything comes from the silence. Ain't the other way. That's why it said spirit is quiet, spirit is still. Spirit ain't got the chatter. Spirit is like calm and peaceful water. Do you know when you see a lake and it's kind of a really big lake and you can see the bottom? You know what I mean? You see the fish on the bottom, even if it's deep. It's all crystal clear and pure. Yeah? Well, that's the point. That's what it's like, isn't it? And when it's clear, you see everything, don't you? Hey? Of course you do. You see everything. So when spirit is clear, the connection to spirit's clear, we see everything. You ain't got no little dark corners with us, love, I tell you that. We see it all. If you like it or not, although we don't look at you in the shower, but that's another topic. So you would see right through everything because it's quiet and it's clear and it's understood. Anyway, I hope I've been clear. I hope you've understood it. I hope you kind of like that kind of way of getting down to the nitty gritty, you know what I mean? I kind of fluff my speeches out a bit, don't I? I don't talk quite really quiet and this is the way it is type. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Try again. I'm going to let Mr. Slow Speech come back and he can talk to you about whatever he's going to chat to you about. So get to your nice, quiet, clear place and know everything. And that's where you'll meet me. I'll come and say hello. I'll even sing you a song if you want to. All right. See ya. Ta-ra. Hmm. Hmm. If there was to be a book, I think we would need extra chapters just to include his style of speech. In essence, what is being said is the truth, just in one particular style of explaining the truth. Yet again, and I apologize not for saying that the intention was with this talk was to connect also to the previous talks, so that we build on the foundation. So that you understand, I hope, at least some of the geography. And as I have said last week, there are many other little avenues we could explore, but not today. So next week, we will look at the reading through psychic phenomena and the understanding of psychic connections before we go further. You should not minimize the effect of that work. and you will understand where it comes from, I hope, in greater detail next week. So until then, I will stand back and allow my medium to return and for you to continue your day. God bless you. Jump.
Good job, Mark.
Very good.
Can you recall a taste in your mouth as you were going down? What was that taste?
Can.
What was it? Was it kind of metallic?
Oh, it's horrible. Like a cigarette. It's kind of stale.
That makes perfect sense. I was thinking whiskey and cigarettes.
Well, yeah, cigarette.
Whiskey.
So Charlie did a lot of the talking that time about healing, about the mechanics, if you like, of healing.
Okay.
And there was a third person who was watching what was going on, and their signature was that taste in your mouth.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's horrible.
Well, he was delightful. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Charlie.
Yeah,
I
Charlie.
love Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie's got his own way, hasn't he?
Yes.
I love him.
Isn't very different. So, anyway. All right. Well, I hope it was good.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you so
Whatever
much.
you learn from it, you got from it.
Thanks.
No point
Great.
asking me. All right then.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Mark, that was terrific.
Thank
Yes.
you, Mark. Good. All right.
Thank you, Mark.
No worries. See you later.